Turn around, sweetie. Yes, just like that.
Can I go now, Daddy?
Just a few more shots, honey. We are almost done.
Hi, my name is Tasha, and this is the story of my crazy life. From the moment I was born, I was doomed. My parents set their eyes on me and saw nothing but a beautiful baby they could use to make lots of bucks with. They signed me onto a modeling agency as soon as I could walk, and I wasn't allowed to do much else than pose for crazy photos all the time.
I'm hungry, Mom. Can you stop the stupid photos and give me some food?
That was my older sister by 1 year, Morgan. For some reason, I didn't understand then why she was always super angry. She threw tantrums anytime she was present during my photo shoots.
Oh, Morgan, just a little more. We need to have perfect shots for your cute sister.
Suddenly, I felt something cold all over the front of my beautiful dress. I looked down to see the mango juice Morgan had been sipping all over my body.
Morgan, why would you do that? I'm hungry. She's making me wait.
That's it. You're grounded, young lady.
I couldn't even be angry with her because her actions successfully ended the photo shoot. But over time, my sister just continued to be a big meanie.
Oh, look, Bimbo is reading. Are you even allowed to do that?
Stop that. And I am not a bimbo.
But guess what? That's what girls like you, who don't know anything else but twist around like a snake for a camera, are known as.
You just can't accept that I am pretty as well as smart. Just then, Morgan jumped at me and we began to fight like cats. Thankfully, my mom came and separated us.
Oh my God. Morgan, look at the big gash you got on your sister on her face. Go into your room and don't come out until you are ready to say sorry.
Morgan never did, and my parents had to give up and let her out or else she'd starve. At school and everywhere else, everyone was the same way as my parents about my looks. People would stare at me and sing praises for my looks.
What a cute button nose!
Look at her skin. How clear.
Hi, can I take a picture? I would love you to be my screensaver.
My life seemed to be constantly in the spotlight, and it annoyed me to no end. Fact was, by the time I turned 12, I was more than certain that being a model wasn't what I wanted to be. But Mom and Dad wouldn't hear of it. They had me doing so many different modeling shoots and campaigns that school was beginning to take a back seat. My parents wouldn't even let me eat any junk food, so I didn't get fat.
Oh, honey, a hamburger? Throw it away right now. It's greasy and will ruin your skin.
One hamburger won't hurt, Mom.
A flood starts with a drop of rain, dear. Listen to your mother and throw that away.
You can give it to Morgan.
Oh yes, throw it into the dustbin, otherwise known as me.
My turning point came when I turned 13. Mom and Dad threw a big party for me, but when I unveiled the cake, my jaw dropped to the ground. A freaking watermelon! Instead of the yummy cake I was expecting, my parents got a watermelon.
Honey, a cake is nothing but a trap full of calories. This is much healthier and…
Embarrassed tears filled my eyes and I cut her off. I am done! I'm not doing this anymore! This modeling stuff, I hate it! I've had enough! To their horror, I grabbed the knife I was supposed to use to cut the watermelon and sliced off a chunk of my hair.
Oh my God, she finally lost it. Her hair is like a duck's butt.
My parents and the other guests were still speechless with shock, but I ignored them and went to my room where I shaved off all of my hair. The next day, I came downstairs wearing the baggiest clothes ever. My parents begged me like their lives depended on it with a truckload of cake.
Dear, you could eat all the cake in the world you want. It's okay if you get fat. You're still pretty. And there are fat models.
I will eat all the cake in the world, but I am never going back to modeling. I want to be a doctor, Dad.
A doctor? Oh dear, you will be touching blood and stuff. No. Please reconsider. If it's the hair, you could wear a wig.
Nope. No way! Mind made up!
Don't worry, Mom. I'll be your new model.
My eyes almost fell out of their sockets when we turned to look at Morgan. She was dressed in one of my designer clothes, hair made into a tight braid, and face full of makeup.
Is that you, Morgan?
The makeup helped a lot, but who knew you had it in you?
I felt sorry for Morgan with the way my parents rushed over to her, taking pictures of her and asking her to turn this way and that. Morgan caught my eye and smirked as if she had won a trophy. Well, I certainly wasn't jealous. I was free as a bird. I wore wigs to school till I got to the 10th grade. Then I convinced my parents to transfer me to another school so I could really start afresh. Morgan insisted she switch schools with me just to show off, and my parents agreed. She was in the 11th grade.
Watch how I become the queen of our new school. No one will even notice you.
Honestly, that would be a relief. I'd appreciate the break for once. Go ahead.
Shut up, you four-eyed baldy.
Actually, my scalp was full of hair now, but Morgan kept calling me a baldy. I had also taken to wearing glasses just to disguise myself further. I ignored her and focused on my studies. At my new school the next day, I was surprised to see that no one seemed to recognize me. A few glances came my way, but no one tried to suffocate me asking for autographs. Students, however, flocked to Morgan, who is by now a fast rising model, and she soaked in the attention.
Hi, I'm a big fan of yours. Can we take a selfie? Well, since you are a fan, I will grant you that privilege.
I was really happy to be out of the spotlight at school and hurried off to my class.
Class, this is our new student. Her name is Tasha.
Oh no, I couldn't let the class know my full name. Tasha Smart! My name is Tasha Smart. The teacher shot me a weird look for taking my family name, but thankfully he kept quiet. I threw myself into my books, thwarting any attempts from anyone to befriend me. But after 2 weeks in my new school, I met someone who stole my breath. I was coming out of the library when I ran smack into someone. When I got a look at him, I gasped. He looked like all these hot male characters from my favorite animes.
I know I am hot, but can you try not to bump into me next time you want me to notice you?
What?
Girls, very desperate set of creatures.
Every atom of attraction I felt for him died on the spot with his rudeness. Well, not every atom per se. At home, I couldn't stop thinking about the handsome guy I bumped into. I was struggling to focus on my studies when my sister barged into my room.
You witch! What were you doing with my Nick?
What are you talking about?
My minions saw you with him at the library. They said you were about to kiss him.
Oh, so the rude guy from earlier is Nick. Do your friends know you call them minions?
Doesn't matter. They will still worship me regardless. Stay away from Nick. He's in my class, and he's mine.
I felt my eyebrow tick in annoyance, but I forced myself to be calm. I wasn't going to let my sister rile me up and distract me from my studies. In school, my grades were getting really high, and teachers and students alike began to notice me for it. It was much better than being noticed for something as superficial as beauty.
Hey, Tasha, you're so brilliant. Would you want to take part in a science competition?
What? That was the ticket to achieving my dreams faster! I quickly said yes!
Great. You will be studying with our other brilliant student, Nick.
Nick! It turned out that prior to me coming to the school, Nick was the one excelling most in school. He looked me over when I met him in the library as instructed by the teacher. Gosh, he really was so handsome.
Ugh, not again. Go away! Shoo, I'm expecting someone. No time for fangirls.
And very rude. Unfortunately for you, Nick, I am the one you are expecting. And no, I am no fangirl of yours. You seem to be so desperate for one that you pin the title on any girl unfortunate enough to bump into you. That shut him up, and he finally focused on the task we had together. But truly, Nick was popular amongst the girls. Even at the library, girls would hardly let him breathe in peace, but Nick knew just how to give it to them.
Oh, Nick, could you check my temperature? I think I'm running a fever.
I believe you know where the first aid room is. Or are you blind too? Nick, there is a spider on my desk. Please come and save me. Spiders make good seatmates.
He was actually funny, and at a point I couldn't help but start laughing at his attitude with the pestering girls. No wonder he seemed to hate me from the start. When we were done studying, I turned to pack up, but Nick stopped me.
Tasha, I'm sorry about earlier. I just made my usual assumption about a girl, which, by the way, hadn't failed me until now. Can I apologize by taking you out for ice cream?
Oh boy, could today get any better? I pretended to consider it for a moment, so as not to give him the impression of being all over him. I can spare some minutes. I think I have done all the studying I need for today. He smiled, and I almost fainted. He had dimples! How much prettier could a boy get?
Let's go.
When I went back home, Morgan was fuming.
You? How dare you go out on a date with Nick?
I just went to get ice cream with him. It wasn't a date.
But you would like it to be right? You love him, don't you?
Like I was going to answer that. Can you just leave me alone? You're a model now. Aren't you happy? Sure, she wasn't a big shot model like I was before, but I thought she would finally be off my back to at least be one. Instead, she seemed to be getting more and more frustrated.
Oh, just you wait. I'm only just starting. I have a modeling gig by next month, and if I bag this, I will win millions of dollars and I will make sure you don't get a penny. I bet you this. When I become a big shot model, Even guys like Nick would beg to date me.
With all my heart, I wish you the best. Nick and I continued studying together, and we kept drawing closer together. One day, we were going through some chemical formulas together when his phone beeped. He opened it and gasped.
Tasha, is this you?
My mouth went dry when I saw the picture he was showing me. It was one of my pictures as a model from an unsaved number I quickly identified as Morgan's.
You are Tasha Williams, the famous model who suddenly went MIA.
I quit for a reason, Nick. Can you bring your voice down?
Why did you quit?
I didn't want to be a model, okay? I love maths and science. I want to study and become a doctor. Walking on runways, staying up to date with the latest fashion, and not eating what I love for fear of getting fat. It's just not what I wanted. I want to live a life like a normal girl.
Whoa.
I know I'm not as fancy or fashionable as when I was a model, but I will never go back to that. To my surprise, he beamed at me.
Trust me, I completely understand. It must not have been easy to quit.
It definitely wasn't.
Tell me about it.
I began to tell him the crazy drama that took place when I quit, and Nick laughed all the way through, especially when I told him about the watermelon cake. Morgan's attempt to break us up actually backfired, and soon we started dating. His personality was much better than what I had previously thought of him, and so when he asked me to be his girlfriend, I said yes. Soon, the competition came around. We answered question after question, and we were declared winners. We won for our school. Mom, Dad, I won the competition! Nick and I won!
Oh, honey, aren't you the prodigy? Winning everything you set your mind to. I'm so proud of you.
If only Morgan would be the same. She lost the gig we worked hard to get her. I am sure you would have won if it was you.
It was then that I noticed Morgan in the corner, and she looked like she'd been crying. But when our eyes met, she clenched her jaw and ran to her room. Mom, Dad, I think you owe Morgan an apology. She worked so hard to impress you, but you're always letting her down. Stop comparing her to me. My parents immediately looked remorseful. I will talk to Morgan. I followed Morgan to her room, and she was sobbing like I had never seen before.
Why am I such a big loser? You've stopped modeling. You wear the ugliest clothes and nerdy glasses. You're not as popular as I am now yet. You're so happy, and I'm not. Even the school's prince is always hanging out with you. You're pretty, you're smart. What am I supposed to do?
But Morgan, you are pretty and smart too. Boys fall over themselves for you. Or does it have to be Nick? Do you really like him, or is it because you noticed I do?
Because I noticed you do.
You see, you're always competing with me. If you can focus on yourself and think of what really makes you happy, I am sure you will see a big difference.
Oh, I think you're right. Truth be told, I really hate this modeling stuff.
Finally, something we have in common.
I'm sorry, Tasha. I've been a horrible sister. You deserve every good thing because you're so hardworking. Can you forgive me?
Trust me, I have never had a grudge against you. We hugged each other tight. What do you say we watch some Storytime animated videos to pass the time?
Sounds like fun.
Hey, stop! That's my car! I ran towards the two men towing my car from my school parking lot. As soon as I got to them, I shoved one of them.
Hey, relax. We're here to deliver your new car and take this one.
I stared at him in confusion until he pointed to a brand new sports car with a red ribbon. A Lamborghini? Oh yeah, baby! Hello, I'm Nate, and I live in the luxurious Upper East Side in New York. Please like and subscribe. Growing up, my sister Lily and I had everything except a mother, who abandoned us when we were very young. After she left, Dad immersed himself into his job, and in just a few years, he became one of the wealthiest men in the city. We barely saw him, but we did see his money. He bought us whatever we wanted, from the latest designer clothes to the latest gadgets, which made me popular at school.
Dude, is that the latest iPhone? Where did you buy it? They're not even in stores yet.
Oh, my dad spoke to Apple, and they made a custom one for me. I loved the look on their faces when they realized just how rich I was. By the time I was in high school, Lily and I were pretty much living on our own. That meant we got into a lot of trouble, but Dad always bought our way out. Until one day, when Lily used his credit card to buy dozens of designer clothes and hand them out to homeless people. When he got a call from the bank, he came home immediately.
What were you thinking?
Chill, Dad. I was only doing some charity work. Something you should do more of.
You're grounded for a month and I'm taking all your credit cards.
Fine, at least I got you to come home.
She stormed into her room and slammed the door.
What happened to my sweet little girl?
Dad looked so sad. But what did he expect when he was always gone? On my 18th birthday, for instance, he surprised me with a brand new sports car. I mean, it was a pretty cool gift, but he wasn't there to celebrate with me. Inside the new car was an envelope, and in it was a birthday card and a black credit card.
Dear son, you only turn 18 once. Please use the card to have some fun with your friends. Oh, and I hope you like the color I chose for the car. If not, let me know and I'll send another one.
The card wasn't even in his handwriting. I'm sure he had his assistant write it.
Nice ride. Does it come with good looks?
I looked up to see my arch nemesis Brody with his foot on the hood of my car. I heard a laugh and I turned in shock to find my own girlfriend Maya laughing at Brody's joke. Seriously, Maya?
What? It was funny.
Sometimes I wondered why I was still dating her. I revved the engine, but Brody didn't budge. Move.
Or what? Instead of trying to run me over, let's go to the racetrack and see if your little toy has any power to beat me. Unless you're afraid to lose.
Ever since I caught Brody cheating in a math test, and I reported him, he hated my guts, and he did everything he could to agitate me, including flirting with Maya, who seemed to enjoy it. Sometimes I wondered if she really cared about me at all. That's the problem with being rich. You never know who genuinely likes you. Right after Brody's taunt, Maya started to chant, and everyone else joined in.
Race, race, race.
I'll never lose to you, and that junk you call a car. Let's give the people what they want.
See you at the racetrack.
A few minutes later, Brody and I were squared off at the racetrack, while our friends cheered wildly. I gripped my wheel and revved my engine. Brody and I exchanged cold looks, then we were off. Brody's car was obviously not a match for mine, so in just a few seconds he was trailing me. I checked the rearview mirror to see how far behind he was, but that was a mistake. Because next thing I knew, I was veering off the track and right into a ditch, while Brody sped off to an easy win. I was so enraged that I jumped out of my car and started kicking it in frustration. Ugh! Stupid, stupid car! Brody laughed in my face, so I punched him and he fell. He got up and charged at me, but our friends held him back. I then walked home, leaving the car behind for the insurance company to pick up and fix. As months passed, Dad became even busier and hardly noticed mine and Lily's bad behavior and extravagance. Since he took away Lily's credit cards, she got into more trouble by shoplifting and fighting at school, while I indulged in more car races, crashing multiple times and incurring huge repair bills. I even took out a page of Lily's book by literally making it rain dollar bills in the streets of New York for people to scramble for. I was living without a care in the world and spending money like I had a bottomless vault of it. However, that all changed when one day Maya and I got to my house to find mountains of stuff out on our front lawn.
Oh my God, are you being robbed?
Just then, Lily shouted from my bedroom window.
Nate, come in here.
She sounded panicked, so I took the stairs 2 at a time, and I found her in tears.
They took everything.
Who's they?
Some scary men. Dad's talking to them downstairs.
I ran out looking for Dad and found him talking to some men in dark suits and even darker sunglasses. Dad, what's going on?
I'm sorry, son. We've lost everything. These are debt collectors, and they're here to auction our property, including the mansion.
What? I could hardly breathe at this point. Just then, an auctioneer's announcement caught my attention.
The next item is the latest Lamborghini model. We will start the bid at $200,000. Do I hear 205? 250. Do I hear 255?
After a while, he banged his gavel.
Sold to the gentleman in red.
This was starting to feel like a bad dream. Not only had my car been sold right before my eyes, it had been sold to Brody.
Don't worry, I'll take good care of it.
Whatever, dude. Come on, Maya. Get out of the car. I opened the passenger door, but Maya didn't move.
Actually, I don't want to be your girlfriend now that you're poor. I'll date Brody now.
Oh, wow. Talk about a slap in the face. Leave, both of you. Brody laughed as he jumped into the driver's seat.
Guess you've finally lost everything to me.
I couldn't believe Maya had just dumped me like that. But I guess it was really good riddance. She had been a horrible girlfriend. A very long and tiring bus ride later, we arrived at our lake house. Only, it wasn't a lake house anymore. It was a restaurant. Dad, what?
I'm so sorry, kids. I sold the lake house to a friend, but she's agreed to let us stay in the garage.
Please say you're joking. There's no way I'm living there.
You won't. You'll go live with Mrs. Brock and her family.
I left Dad and Lily arguing and walked into the musty room. There's barely anything in here.
You'll get used to it.
The room was smaller than my bedroom. And this was supposed to be what? Our whole house? The next morning, Dad took me to the side of the lake that I'd never been to before. Why did you bring me here?
We'll be working here now.
I'm sorry, what?
We'll receive fish from the fishermen and sell it in the village.
As I stared at my dad, a girl jumped out of a boat, carrying a bucket full of fish. She dumped the fish near my feet and started washing them. I couldn't stand the smell, so I turned around and tried my best not to gag.
Wuss?
The girl started to laugh. I was about to say something mean when she stood up.
Hi, I'm Rose. Sorry I called you a wuss. I've just never seen anyone grow so pale at the sight of fish.
That's all right. Just not used to it. I'm Nate. I'm new here.
New? Then you must come to the bonfire tonight and you can see our beautiful village under the stars.
After the couple of days that I'd had, that sounded perfect, so I agreed to go. Rose and I hung out a lot after that. I learned that she made and sold beautiful jewelry. I even started to ditch Dad's fish selling business just so I could watch her make jewelry. I was crushing hard. One afternoon, she showed up with a picnic basket and asked me to take a walk with her. She led me through dense bushes until we came to a suspension bridge. The steps were made from wooden planks tied together by ropes and suspended by even more ropes. Yeah, no thanks. Rose must have sensed my fear because she took my hand.
You'll be fine, I promise. Just trust me.
We crossed the shaky bridge and came to a clearing. A whooshing sound came from behind the trees. What's that sound?
It's a surprise. Wait here.
Rose disappeared behind the trees, and after a few minutes, she asked me to join her. And when I did, my heart almost stopped. She was wearing a bathing suit, and that's not all. She was standing on top of a waterfall, ready to jump into the clear pond below.
Hurry! Take off your shirt! Let's jump!
I took off my shirt and took her hand.
1, 2, 3.
I closed my eyes and we jumped, landing into the ice-cold water with a splash.
Oh, that's cold!
That was the best afternoon of my life. When we got back to the restaurant, I was shocked to see my car parked outside. I got so excited thinking that Dad had bought it back for me. I ran into the restaurant expecting to see him, only to find Brody and Maya sitting at a table. What are you doing here?
My mom said that you were a fisherman now, and we just had to come and see for ourselves.
I'm really not in the mood for any of your games, Brody. I took Rose's hand and turned to leave, but Maya stepped in front of us. She looked Rose up and down, like a predator sizing its prey.
Aren't you gonna introduce us to your girlfriend?
She's not,
Hi, I'm Rose, but I'm not Nate's girlfriend. Yet.
I almost swallowed my tongue. Did she mean she wanted to be my girlfriend?
Aw, she likes you, Nate. You could both be poured together. I mean, look at her cheap necklace.
I made this. With what? Trash?
Maya reached out to touch the necklace, but Rose slapped her hand away. Rose was so angry, and so was I. Don't you touch her, and don't you dare insult her again. Her necklace might not be expensive like yours, but she made it herself and it's beautiful. At least she's not a gold digger like you. Maya rolled her eyes and turned to Brody.
Whatever. Let's get out of here.
Rose, I'm so sorry.
Who are they?
She was close to tears, and I hated Maya and Brody for hurting her. My heart was pounding so fast as I stood close to her and leaned my forehead to hers. I wanted to kiss her so badly, and I was just about to, but suddenly Dad burst in looking breathless and pale. I stepped away from a blushing Rose. Dad, are you okay?
It's Lily. She's missing. Her friends say they saw her go into the woods.
Why would she do that? It's so dangerous. We started a search and rescue mission, gathering all locals and some policemen. Hours later, we were almost giving up our search when we heard a noise behind some bushes. I ran towards the sound, hoping to see Lily, but let out a scream when I came face to face with a bear. I stepped back slowly, then turned and ran, as I shouted for Rose and the others to run too. Just then, Rose stumbled on a twig and fell. The bear was right on our heels, so I threw my torch towards it. And while it got distracted, I dragged Rose to her feet and we kept running until we caught up with Dad and his group. Bear! Dad ordered everyone to stand behind him, and we held our breath waiting for the bear to appear, but it never did.
I guess I got tired of chasing you.
A few meters from us, someone shouted that they had found Lily. We rushed and found her huddled under a tree, shivering and cold. Dad and I hugged her and sobbed in relief.
We were so worried about you, Lily.
I'm so sorry. I saw Maya and Brody at the restaurant, and I went to look for Nate so I could warn him, but I got lost.
I hugged her more, then carried her out of the woods. This was turning out to be the craziest day of my life. Later at the hospital, the doctor assured us that Lily would be okay. I expected Dad to be happy, but when the doctor left, he started to sob uncontrollably.
I'm so sorry. This is all my fault.
I sat next to him and rubbed his shoulder. No, it's not. Besides, Lily's fine now.
If I hadn't lied...
Lied about what?
Everything. We're not poor, Nate. The auction was staged. We didn't lose anything. I wasn't in any debt.
Dad might as well have grown 2 heads. What?
I planned the whole thing.
Why would you do that?
I wanted to teach you and Lily a lesson. You'd become too spoiled and rebellious, and it was all my fault.
So, you decided to punish us?
I'm sorry, but can you call your time here punishment?
I thought for a few minutes, and yeah, he had a point. I'd really enjoyed my new life, but still. What? What about my car? Dad smiled a little.
Well, that's gone for real. Brody's mom bought it for him. You were putting your own life in danger.
So, what happens now?
As soon as Lily is well, we will leave and go back home.
A few months ago, I'd have jumped at that, but now I wasn't so sure. I couldn't imagine leaving Rose. Even as I spoke with Dad, I missed her. I have to go see Rose. I walked out meaning to go to Rose's village, but I found her sitting at the hospital waiting area.
How's Lily?
She'll be fine. Can we go somewhere and talk? We went to the beach and sat down on the sand. I explained everything to her, and when I told her what Dad had done, she burst out laughing. But when I told her that I'd be leaving soon, her laughter died.
Will you come back?
I'll come back, I promise. She lay her head on my shoulder, and I put my arm around her. My heart started to pound again, and I decided it was now or never. I needed to show her how I felt about her before leaving. I turned toward her, took a deep breath, and kissed her. She closed her eyes and kissed me back, and I knew I was definitely coming back. Back in the city, Dad got me a new car. He started spending more time with us. Lily went back to school, and I applied to a few colleges.
So, have you decided where you want to go to college?
Actually, yeah. I got accepted into one near the lake. Dad smiled.
Don't you mean near Rose?
Having Dad tease me about a girl was kind of embarrassing, but he was right. I couldn't wait to see her again. A month later, Rose and I reunited, and I helped her set up a jewelry shop in the village. It became a popular place for tourists looking for handmade jewelry. To be honest, this was the happiest I'd ever been. And even though it took Dad's crazy plan to get me there, I was glad he did.
Hi, Mom! As I leaned over to kiss Mom, you wouldn't believe what happened. The cover of my milkshake fell off, and the milkshake splattered on the white dress. Suddenly, a blood-curdling screech filled the room.
What did you do to my dress? I paid $5,000 for this dress. You better hope this stain comes out, doofus.
Don't you dare talk to my mother that way, you spoiled brat!
I'll talk to your mother however I choose.
With my fists clenched, I stepped towards Debbie.
What is going on here?
They ruined my dress for tonight. Daddy, fire her!
Mr. Langston looked at the dress that Mom held in her hand, then at the milkshake in mine.
Mr. Langston, I can
Mrs. Pierce, I think it's time you left.
Mom nodded, and without another word, she exited the room, and I followed closely on her heels. Hi, my name is Kylie, and I'm from Costa Rica. Please like and subscribe to our amazing channel. I grew up with a single mom who worked as a maid at the Langston Mansion for over 10 years. Now, thanks to me, Mom was fired. I apologized to Mom a million times, and each time she said it wasn't my fault. But I knew she was just saying that so I wouldn't feel bad. Mom now worked multiple jobs, which meant she was hardly ever home. I insisted that I'd get a job to help her pay the bills, but Mom wasn't having it.
Kylie, we spoke about this already. I want you to focus on school. Let me worry about the bills.
I decided I would study my butt off to make my mom proud. A few months later, I I was super excited when I got a scholarship to college.
I can't believe we got into the same college.
My best friend Heidi squealed into the phone. Heidi and I met on the playground in kindergarten, and we've been friends ever since. College will be amazing. We can change our boring high school personalities and spice things up a bit. Now is the time for a change. New school, new me. The night before college, I was so excited that I barely slept. On the first day, as soon as Heidi and I stepped onto the campus, I got a shocker. Surrounded by a group of girls stood Debbie, soaking up the attention. I groaned.
Over 60 colleges to attend, and you and Debbie choose the same one?
This can't be happening! As Heidi and I walked past, Debbie shouted,
Hey, maid's daughter. I didn't expect to see you at college. I thought you'd be with your mom, carrying on the family business, being a peasant.
I'm surprised to see you here too, Debbie. We all know you didn't get the grade to attend this college, and Daddy paid extra for you to get in. I smirked as I walked past, and Heidi couldn't control her laughter, which got her a cold stare from Debbie. The first few days of college were okay. Every time Debbie saw me, she made a snide remark, but I retorted to keep things even between us. However, after the first week, something happened that unhinged my very soul. As Heidi and I sat in the cafeteria devouring our lunch, someone walked into the cafeteria and I cringed. Is that Mom? She wore a janitor's uniform and pushed a bucket and mop in front of her. This couldn't be happening. How was I going to be a new person with Mom hanging around the school in a janitor's uniform? College was supposed to be a fresh start for me.
Maid's daughter, is it bring your mother to work day?
Debbie pushed her lunch tray off the table, then placed her hand over her mouth.
Oopsies.
Anger boiled in me as I watched Mom clean up Debbie's mess while her friends laughed. I walked over to Debbie and grabbed a fistful of her clothing in my hand.
Kylie, let her go now.
But, Mom, she…
Kylie.
I let go of Debbie's clothing and I walked away and didn't look back. I vowed that one day I'd make Debbie pay. Who did she think she was? I decided to go to the campus library to get some studying done. At least that was one place I knew Debbie didn't plan on visiting.
Hi.
I looked up and my eyes fell on the cutest guy I'd ever seen.
I saw what happened back there. Debbie sucks.
Thanks. Debbie can be so cruel sometimes. It's infuriating. Are you a freshman?
No, I'm a junior. My name's Justin.
Nice to meet you, Justin. I'm Kylie. Over the next 30 minutes, I sat there glossy-eyed, soaking in every word that Justin said. We loved the same movies, and we both have an obsession with fine art.
Hey, maybe I can take you to the art gallery sometime?
I'd love that.
But until then, I'd love it if you came to my birthday party this weekend. I'll send a car over for you.
Can I bring my best friend, Heidi?
Sure. The more the merrier. I've got a class, so I gotta run. Later.
I smiled and waved to Justin as he walked away. I couldn't believe that Heidi and I just got invited to our first college party! On the night of the party, Heidi got dressed at my house. The doorbell rang and I answered it.
Good evening, madam. I'm here to pick up Miss Kylie and Miss Heidi.
A personal driver? Justin must be rich. Heidi and I waved at Mom as we exited the house. About 30 minutes later, the chauffeur spoke up.
We have arrived.
We were escorted to the back of the house where there was a pool and the party was in full swing. I scanned the crowd, spotted Justin, and gave him a little wave. My heart fluttered as he waved back and walked over.
Hey, ladies. Kylie, I'm glad you could make it. Do you want to dance?
Before I could accept, Debbie interrupted us.
We hired the cleanup crew for after the party, not during janitor's daughter.
Give it a rest, Debbie.
My dearest brother, mingling with the help is not a good look for us.
Brother!
He didn't tell you. He didn't tell her because, like everything else, you are irrelevant.
And with that fire comeback, Heidi pushed Debbie into the pool, and the party fell silent for a few seconds. Justin was the first one to break the silence when he burst into laughter, which was immediately followed by that of his friends. Debbie got out of the pool and glared at us. Angrily, she pushed her way through the crowd and into the house. When she was out of sight, Justin offered his hand.
Let's dance.
Over the next 2 weeks, Justin and I got to know each other a lot better. One day during lunch, Justin asked me out on a date and I accepted. I couldn't believe it! Justin wanted to go out on a date with me! On the night of the date, we went to dinner, then to an art gallery before we took a stroll hand in hand under the moonlight by the beach. By the time he walked me to my door, it was close to midnight. I had a really great time tonight.
So did I.
Our eyes met, and Justin leaned closer to me. I closed my eyes and leaned forward nervously, anticipating his lips on mine. But the kiss never came. Not on my lips, anyway. Justin kissed me on the cheek.
I'll see you tomorrow at school, okay?
Too stunned to speak, I nodded and entered the house. I went straight to my room and called Heidi and told her about my date.
Maybe he didn't want to take it too fast.
I guess.
I'm sure you'll get to the kiss you're longing for in no time.
I hope so, because I really like him. Heidi and I chatted for over an hour before we said goodnight. I slipped into a peaceful sleep, totally unprepared for what the next day was about to bring. The next morning, I was excited to get to school to see Justin. I was about to turn the corner in the hallway when I heard Debbie and Justin speaking. What I heard made my heart bleed.
Look, I played your silly game. Now pay me the money that you owe.
I can't believe you actually got her to go on a date with you.
The girl was so desperate that she'd go on a date with anyone in her tacky thrift shop dress. Ugh, that date was the worst date I've ever had.
I stepped out from behind the wall. So playing with someone's feelings is a joke to you? I slapped Justin across the face and Debbie gasped. You jerk! And you? Stay away from me! I stormed off and went to the girls' bathroom and had myself a good cry. That was the worst day of my life. But then, something happened that night that turned my mood around. I was completing some assignments when Mom burst into my room.
Kylie, I won the lottery.
What?
I won $10 million.
The next few days felt surreal. Mom resigned from work and decided to open her own company. Heidi and I went on a shopping spree, and Mom and I moved into a new neighborhood. She even bought me a new car. But even though I had money to buy anything I wanted, I actually still enjoyed going to thrift shops. One particular visit gave me the advantage that I was looking for over Debbie.
Mom?
I watched as Mrs. Langston searched through the clothes on the rack and held a few dresses against Debbie.
My friends are getting suspicious. I can't keep getting these cheap clothes and trying to pass them off as designer wear. Well, honey, your dad filed for bankruptcy, and until we get back on our feet, these stores will be your new best friend.
Mrs. Langston walked away, and Debbie stomped her feet frustratedly. I walked around the clothing rack, and Debbie's eyes widened like a frightened deer. She looked utterly mortified. I'll see you on Monday. As I approached my locker early Monday morning, Debbie was waiting, and she looked extremely nervous.
Look, about what you saw on Saturday?
Honestly, I'm surprised. You always strut around like some kind of princess, as if you're above us all. I wonder what everyone will say when I tell them you're broke.
Please, you can't.
I can and I will!
Don't do anything.
Good. I'm glad you said that. I dropped my books into Debbie's arms. From now on, you do every single thing I tell you. Got it? Over the next few days, I made Debbie my personal maid. She washed my car, did my laundry, and ironed all of my clothes, and did my chores at home, including cleaning my room. A few days later, as I was looking through some cute rings at the kiosk, Debbie groaned as she struggled to hold my shopping bags.
Are we done yet?
You're done when I say we are. Or do you want me to tell everyone at school that you're broke? I heard a gasp from behind us and I spun around. There stood Debbie's friends, their mouths open in shock.
You're broke?
Debbie stepped toward them, but they turned up their noses at her and walked in the other direction. Debbie dropped my bags and ran away crying. Once I gathered my bags, I went in search of Debbie. I found her outside by the car park. Debbie, I'm sorry.
Sorry? You found a chance to humiliate me and took it.
Me? Maybe if you weren't such a witch when you had money, people may have treated you better when you lost it.
And maybe if you didn't have any, you wouldn't be the witch that you are now.
Debbie got up and walked away. As I sat there and contemplated her words, I felt terrible. I had turned into someone I no longer recognized. I was totally disappointed with myself. The following week, neither Justin nor Debbie was at school, and talk about them losing their money was the main gossip of the whole class. That afternoon, after giving it a lot of thought, I went to Mom for help. I told her everything. Mom sighed heavily.
What you did to Debbie was wrong, but I'm glad that you realized that. And you're willing to help? I'll give Mr. Langston a call.
Not only did Mom give Mr. Langston a call, but she invited the entire family over for dinner. Talk about awkward! Justin didn't look at me once during the dinner, and Debbie just sat there pushing her food around the plate. Mom told Mr. Langston that she had a position for him at her company, and he graciously accepted it.
Thank you so much. You don't know how much this means to me. You didn't have to do this, especially after I fired you.
I believe in helping people wherever I can. I'm just happy I'm able to help you and your family.
After dinner, Debbie excused herself to go outside for some fresh air, and I followed her. Debbie, I'm sorry about what I did. I should have never treated you that way. Can you forgive me? Debbie did something I never thought she'd do. She hugged me! I was taken aback for a few seconds, but I returned her hug.
I'm also sorry for how I treated you. I've always been jealous of the love that you and your mom share. I've never had that. With Dad always away working and Mom always trying to keep up appearances, and with Justin being, well, Justin, nobody ever loved me for who I was, only for what I had.
Well, now that you have nothing, I hope that you can get the friends that you need.
I hope so. Maybe we can hang out sometime?
I'd like that.